What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? This your boy Marcus Frazier here from Teachable Tuesdays, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. Thank you for joining me tonight. Greatly appreciate it. If you could, hit the like button, subscribe button, and the notification button, so that way you can stay up to date with all of my future Teachable Tuesdays content. If you like this video, of course, leave a like. Feel free to share it on social media or, wherever you might want to share it. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started today. So today's topic of discussion doesn't really have a title. On Instagram, which if you don't already do so, you can follow me there at ACTRealMC. I did a poll worth a couple of questions because I've been talking a lot about relationships lately in my videos. This is actually going to be the last, I guess you could say, relationships or dating centered video that I'm going to be doing for a while. I'm going to be switching gears very soon, talking about some other topics. But I asked you guys on Instagram 9 questions. And I want to know, just what everybody thinks about these questions. And I'm going to give the poll results. I'm also going to give my input on what I think about each of these questions as well. I'm going to try to go through these rather quickly. And of course, let me know in the comments below how you feel about these questions as well. And if you're watching this on Instagram and you didn't get a chance to vote, you can let me know how you feel in the comment section below as well. Okay, so we're going to start with the first question. Like I said, once again, all these questions are centered around dating. So the first question that I asked Instagram was, you have the right to date, or it's not really a question, it's more so, I guess, a poll, but you have the right to date other people if you are not dating exclusively. And by the way, I had about 20 to 30 people vote for each one. So thank you very much for everybody voting. Greatly appreciate it. Everybody on here said 100%, which is overwhelming. And I'm very glad. I do agree that you are free to date other people until you choose to date exclusively. Now, a lot of people, they may ask, what is dating exclusively? What does that mean? Dating exclusively, in my personal opinion, is when you are dating someone and you both have set boundaries and you agree that you're only going to see each other, through the acts of emotional, being physical, being around each other in that space to where you're not bothering to see other people because you have such a high interest in each other that you have no interest in seeing other people. So to me, that's what it means, dating exclusively. Now, of course, if you're not dating exclusively, yes, you absolutely have the right to date whoever you want to date. If you want to date 6 other people, then you can date 6 other people. But I think once you choose that level of exclusivity with someone, then I think that's when it needs to be shut down and you need to just focus on that one person. Now, in my personal opinion, I'm going to be honest with you, it depends on how you define the date exclusive thing, and which is why it's important to make sure you set those healthy boundaries. But the way I look at it is like this. I believe if you're dating exclusively, you might as well just be girlfriend and boyfriend, because 9 times out of 10, if you're dating exclusively, you're doing all the things that more than likely girlfriends and boyfriends do. It's just without the title. I know titles don't mean everything. I'll get into that subject more so on another day, but that's just my personal opinion. All right. So the second poll, long distance relationships fail more than close ones. 33% of you guys said true on Instagram. 67% said false. So for me, here's how I look at long distance relationships. I have been in a long distance relationship before. In fact, I can say that I've been in one official long distance relationship and one potential. Now, I'm going to be honest, both of them did not work out. One of them was my fault, and the other one was the other person's fault. Now, even with that being said, long distance relationships can work, but it does require a bit more work because you guys are not within that close proximity of each other. Is it possible to have a long distance relationship? Yes. But it really does require some hard work behind it. I mean, because you can't see each other physically. And especially if one of your love languages is physical touch, that's going to be an issue. So, my best bet is if you're thinking about entering a long distance relationship, or if you're currently in one, just make sure you keep the communication going. Find fun ways to think about dates that you can do, even if it's virtual. Like I know me and a person that I was dating not too long ago, we had a virtual dinner date because, I was here and this person was all the way on the other side of the U.S. So we couldn't see each other physically, you know what I'm saying? So doing little things like that. just making sure the communication is on the up and up at all times, because it's so easy to, I guess, communicate with that person. Not just communicate, but it's easy when you're near that person to, grow the attraction level and all that good stuff. So because you won't be able to see each other all the time, it's probably best for you to make sure you're, planning some creative things and creative ways to make sure you keep the fire going, All right. So third question. Do you believe in the term single until married? Or third poll, but I guess first official question. 22% of you said yes. 78% of you said no. Now, this is an interesting concept because my pastor, I remember that he said this one time. One of my old pastors at a church I used to go to in Daytona, he said that technically you're single until you're married. And the reason being is because you have no ties directly to anyone. You are not obligated to serve anyone within that capacity until you guys are joined together through holy matrimony through the Spirit of God, which to some extent, I definitely believe is true. I mean, because as long as you're not married, if you decide that you want to just up and outright leave a person for whatever the reason may be, you could do that. Now, would I advise that? No. But by technicality, can you do that? Yes. Now, I know some people may say, well, Marcus, if you're married, you can do the same thing. Yes, you can. And the sad reality is it happens a lot these days. That's why the divorce rates are so high. However, I think there's more of a thought process of trying to work things out when you're married as opposed to when you're not married. Because when you're not married, you could just say, oh, I could just leave because I'm not tied to you legally, and it makes things easier. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little split down the middle with that as far as do I believe that you're single until married? I say yes and no. It just depends on how you look at it and what is your belief system. That kind of plays a part as well. So next polling. Dating is harder for men in their 20s and easier for women in their 20s. 33% said true on Instagram. 67% said false. This is my take on it. I truly do believe that in some cases, dating is easier for women in their 20s. And I'm going to tell you why. Because women are in their prime in their 20s. Men are not in their prime typically until they reach 30. And even in some cases, they're still not completely in their prime. Okay? So, of course, when you're in your prime, you're going to be excelling. You're going to be on top of the world. You're going to be, doing what you got to do. You're going to be balling. You know what I'm saying? So, what a lot of people don't realize is women are in their prime typically from the age of 18 until their late 30s. Now, I say late 30s if they take really good care of themselves. If they don't, then maybe early 30s. Because by then, and ladies, you can attest to this, you'll start hearing all of a sudden, my clock is ticking, I got to do this, I got to do that. And ladies, y'all say that, not us. Y'all say that, you know what I'm saying? Whereas opposed to us fellas, in our 20s, we struggle a little bit more in the dating game. Now, I'm not saying that every guy is like that, that's going to struggle in his 20s. And I'm also not saying that every lady is going to have it easy in their 20s either. Because obviously, women have dating issues and men have their own set of dating issues as well. So it can be hard or easy depending on the individual. But for the most part, women do have a little bit of an easier time when it comes to dating in their 20s. I mean, if you don't believe me, you could just look at dating apps. It's very, very easy for, women to, get a guy in their 20s, especially when they're taking good care of themselves, they're looking good, all that fancy stuff. Whereas opposed to, fellas, we're still figuring out things and we're not quite there yet. So it's a little harder for us. That's just my intake on it. Next poll. Dating is easier for men in their 30s and harder for women in their 30s. This was split down the middle 50-50. What's interesting about this is there were both ladies and fellas that agreed with this statement. And I've even had a couple ladies that said, you know what, a lot of women don't like to admit this, but dating is harder for us in our 30s if we're not already connected to that person that we want to be connected with. And I'll explain my reasoning why this is the case. So for fellas, the reason why it's easier is because when we're in our 30s, we are starting to get into the position of being in our prime. Like, I'm 30. I'm not quite in my prime yet, but I'm getting there slowly but surely. So I'm noticing that in my first year of my being in my 30s, when it comes to the dating scene, a lot of things are different compared to when I was in my 20s. Now I know some people are probably thinking, like, Marcus, you just turned 30. Yes, I did. But I'm noticing that I am dating more successfully compared to when I was in my 20s in this very short period of time. I'm not sure what happened. It's just kind of like a flip of the switch comes on when you're 30, I guess. I don't know. But I can also say it's because I've been working on myself. I've been working on self-improvement. I've been working on healing. I've been working on, drawing closer to God. And I mean, granted, I could do better in that department in some cases. I'm going to be perfectly honest. But, I've been working on the overall improvement of me emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Physically, it's been on and off. I'm not going to lie. I got to do better. I'm holding myself accountable. But, I'm working on it. So because of those things, eventually your hard work pays off. And I'm not just talking about with women. So, fellas, don't be doing this stuff just so you can get a woman. No, do this for you, for the betterment of you and for the betterment of the future generations that you will oversee. All right. The reason why it's harder for ladies in their 30s is because this is when they start to, like I said, get out of their prime. And ladies, don't attack me, because I've had ladies that have personally told me that. So this ain't just Marcus speaking. I've heard it from the horse's mouth. And, it's one of those things where, unfortunately, and I'm not saying this is all ladies, obviously, you never want to say it's all men or all women. There's always exceptions to the rule, always. But you'll have some ladies that have spent their 20s, I want to have fun. I want to focus on my career. I want to do this. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, by the way. I just want to make that perfectly clear. But some pass up on guys that could have been a good benefit to them. And fellas do it too, just to be fair. Let me just put it out there. I don't want nobody thinking that, I'm just one-sided. But then what happens is when you turn 30, it's almost like, put you like this. You have a lot of baggage by the time you get to your 30s. Okay? And that's for anybody. So it's going to look a bit less attractive compared to somebody in their 20s. Like a lot of ladies, older ladies, they wonder, why is it that men date younger women? Like a man could be 30 and he's dating someone who's 24, 25, or even 21. And a part of the reason, in my personal opinion, is because that woman has a bit less baggage in some cases. And this is no knock against women that are in their 30s or men in their 30s, because again, I'm 30. But the more life experience you have, the more baggage that you might possibly carry over. So you do have to be mindful of that, okay? So like I said, that was 50-50 down the middle. I am in total agreement that, it is easier for men in their 30s compared to women. Again, just my personal opinion. Next polling. Ladies only. Could you date a man who makes less than you but is still able to provide? 100% of you guys said yes, and I am very glad that that's the case, because let's be real. We live in a society where ladies are on the up and up, as far as careers, they're making better money. I mean, is it fair in all career places? Absolutely not. That's something that we have to continue to work towards. But, some of the ladies out here are killing it. Let's just keep it 100. But, there is this thing that goes around that's basically like, if a woman makes more money than the man, she'll kind of devalue him. And I have no doubt in my mind that in some cases that might be true. That's not necessarily all cases. But it's very nice and refreshing to see that there are women that are like, you know what, hey, if my man is a provider, even if I'm making more than him, I'm going to let him take the lead role, which puts a huge smile on my face, because just because a man makes less than you doesn't mean he can't provide. You know what I'm saying? So kudos to my ladies out there who, have that mindset. Fellas only. Could you date a woman who has a similar interest in you? I'm sorry. Could you date a woman that has no similar interest in you whatsoever? That was split down the middle on Instagram, 50-50. And I can understand why. You want to connect with people, both men and women, want to connect with people that they can share common things with. So I can definitely understand why that's the case and whatnot. For me, I feel like I could. I feel like I could, because I feel like if I'm really interested in that person, we're going to find common interest at some point. And if nothing else, Chris Rock said it best. when you're dating somebody, there's two things you need to know how to do. Well, three things. You need to love food, you need to love physical intimacy, and you better know how to talk. Because as time goes on, he says the physical intimacy, it goes down. And you better know how to talk and love food, because you guys might not necessarily have the same interests. And you got to have something in common, right? Even though I don't think it's too hard to find something in common. It's very rare that you will not find anything in common with a person. I mean, obviously you guys will have significant differences, but the more time you spend together and you try different things, I'm pretty sure you'll find more often than not something to work. Okay. Last question, or last poll question, whatever. If someone ghosts you, should you respond if they come back? 40% of you said yes. 60% of you said no, which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. So here's my take on the ghosting, and this is going to be a little bit lengthier in discussion, because this was going to be my topic initially for tonight, and I decided to go a different route because I was going to post it on my Instagram stories, but I was like, this is going to be way too long, and I'm not going to do all that. So if someone ghosts you, right, and they come back around, they text you out of nowhere, hey, or whatever the case may be, and this is for my fellas and my ladies. This goes on both sides. If I were you, I would not respond right away. Here's why I say that. Depending on how long they ghosted you. And first of all, let me get to the actual definition of ghosting, because a lot of people don't understand that definition. The definition of ghosting is when you have been communicating with someone and you've been on maybe even possibly a date or two or even more dates, and they stop the conversation or the communication with you abruptly without notice. So I'll give you an example. There was one time I had met this young lady, and she seemed very nice. She was very sweet. I'm not going to sit here and lie, very good person. Had a couple of dates, and seemed like things were going extremely well. Extremely, extremely well. And then all of a sudden, she stopped communicating. I think I hit her up one day and was like, hey, how are you doing? No response. So the one thing that I've learned over the years, I want to say over the past 2 to 3 years, is that when a woman does not respond, you don't keep pestering her. Okay? Sometimes she might forget. Sometimes men may forget as well. But coming from the perspective of a man, if I hit you up once and then I hit you up again, which I did like about 4 days later, and there was still no response, I leave it alone. Because let me tell you something, people are always on their phone. Let me tell you something. Please understand that. People are always by their phone, or they will be by their phone at some point. Fellas, don't let no woman ever tell you that she not by her phone at some point. Ladies, don't ever let no man tell you that he not by his phone at some point. I guarantee you, at some point, they are, okay? Maybe not during work hours, maybe not when they're busy doing whatever, maybe not in the gym so much, but cats is on their phone. Let's keep it 100, okay? So that's what happened with that. I left it alone. So this individual hit me up a couple months later and was like, hey. And I was like, how's it going? Now, mind you, totally forgot to delete her number. I don't know why I didn't, because normally if you stop communicating with me, I delete your number, because it's like, I need more space on my phone. And they said, my bad for ghosting you. And first of all, it's the verbiage. My bad for ghosting you. What? So I brought that up because I responded about a week later. I took a week on purpose to respond, and I said, it's cool, no worries. And then she responded back and said, well, can we hang out? And I said, no, thank you. I'm not interested, but I wish you all the best. And that brings me to the point that I'm going to say, what should you do when you're ghosted? So you have a couple of options. Number one, you cannot respond at all, which honestly, in most cases, might be the best option. I'm going to tell you why. If a person is not mature enough to communicate that they may no longer be interested in you, then I don't think that they have the right to be in your life. I'm just being honest. Some people might be like, Marcus, that's a little harsh. What if they were really sorry? I get that. And I'm not saying that you should overly criticize anybody, and I'm not saying that you should knock people, or be rude or be mean or anything like that. However, your feelings matter. So if they can't take your feelings into consideration, they don't need to be in your life. So that's option number one. Option number two, you could communicate and just keep it short and straight to the point. Say thank you. I appreciate it. Now, you could go on a route of asking why did they ghost you, but I don't think that's necessary. Just if they weren't mature enough to communicate with you properly, I'm pretty sure they may not be mature enough to tell you the truth. Although a few might, but it won't happen as often. Just keeping it 100. Number three, if you want to make it work, or if you have something in mind, you could communicate. Now, I will say this: please don't, especially for my fellas, don't do this and be vengeful. Okay, that's not the move. We don't do that here. We don't move in vengefulness. The word of God said, "Vengeance is mine," saith the Lord. So we don't operate like that. Okay. If you want to kind of make things work, like let's say if you still like this person, but you're like, you ain't gonna get me back that easily. That's perfectly fine. And I agree with that 100%. So here's what you do in that situation. Again, it's for my fellas and my ladies. You make them work for it. So if they bring up the idea of, oh, let's hang out, you let them know, that's cool. But if we go out somewhere, like let's say we go out to eat, it's on you. Ladies, tell the fellas that. Fellas, tell the ladies that. It's on you. All right? Some of you guys might have the idea of bringing a man or a woman back to your place. That's totally up to your discretion. But whatever happens in terms of what's going on, that person needs to pay. So, for example, if you're a woman and the man ghosted you, he got to show approval. So, which means he taking you out somewhere and he paying for it. Or same thing with my fellas. If a lady ghosts you, she's like, oh, we should hang out, grab a bite to eat. Okay, cool, but you paying. Well, know why I say that? Because you got to make amends. I don't believe in punishing. I don't think that's a good verbiage to use. I don't like that mindset. I know it's a guy on YouTube, a YouTuber I follow, MJ Get Right. Shout out to him. He makes some really, really dope content. But I don't necessarily agree with the, they need to be punished term, but that's just my intake. Again, that's nothing against my man's right there. That's just his take on it. My take is a little different. But I do believe in you got to make amends one way or another. So if they don't agree to that, move on. But in my personal opinion, I think the best way to go about ghosting is either don't hit them up at all or hit them up and say, thank you. I appreciate your time. I wish you well. Because again, if you're not mature enough to communicate, then you got some things that you need to work on. And I guarantee you, for every 1 or 2 people that will ghost you, there's another 5 or 6 people that will be mature enough to communicate with you. Okay? So sorry, I had to spend a little more time on that one because that was going to be the topic I was going to talk about tonight. And a lot of people have been asking me about it time and time again. So I was like, you know what? Let me dive into a little bit more detail. There was one more thing that came up, and this video is well over time. So if you're still here listening to it, greatly appreciate it. But so there was, I was asking a couple of questions like, what is a no-no in dating? And I got 3 responses. The first response that I got was someone who's disrespectful. Totally agree. We don't do disrespect over here. You disrespect me, you disrespect anybody that I know, you probably need to get stepping because we don't do disrespect. I don't disrespect. I would hope that no one else would do the same thing, The second no I got was good guys. And I was shocked. I was like, oh, wait, hold on now. Whoa, we being real bold on social media, aren't we? And the reason I say that is because there are some ladies out here that don't like good guys. And, okay, if that's your preference, so be it. Just be careful. But to put it publicly, and I asked her in the DMs, I said, hey, I'm just curious, are you just joking, because sometimes people be yanking your chain, as they say. And she was like, no, I really don't like good guys. I like thugs. I like guys who have an edge. Good guys don't have those things, and they're boring. Now, mind you, this woman is in her early 20s. So I'm just hoping that she kind of gets it at some point sooner than later, because I don't want her to be in a situation where she's going to be in her 30s and all of a sudden, or late 20s, and be like, oh, where are the good guys at? Well, you didn't want a good guy, you wanted a thug. But, hey, to each his or her own. So I was a little bit shocked about that, but yeah. I had somebody say that a no-no for me when it comes to dating is hygiene, and I'm like, yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. And that ain't just for one particular gender either. Both genders, shoot, I've seen some situations where cats be stanking. So look, take care of yourself, wash your hands. Of course, we still in COVID. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I guess some of my no-nos when it comes to dating, I would say if I had 3 no-nos, and this is in no particular order, I probably have a lot more, but my first no-no would be inconsistent communication. If you can't communicate with me on a consistent basis, then I probably don't need to be dating you. I'm not saying that I have to talk to you every hour in an hour, because I'm a very busy man, but it needs to be consistent to some degree. I would say my second no-no for dating, and this is definitely a big one that I've learned over time, is someone that is still in high-level communication with their ex. And here's what I say, high-level communication. I mean, like, y'all still talking casually on a daily basis. No, that don't work for me. Now, I know some of you guys may say, well, Marcus, what if their best friend is their ex? Well, then I'm going to find somebody else to be my ex, because that don't work. You know what I'm saying? An ex is an ex for a reason. I get it. Some people's exes, they didn't end on bad terms. They actually ended on good terms. I'm in that category. But I lay down boundaries, especially when I'm dating someone and I start dating them exclusively. That's and I would say one of my no-nos, or third final no-no for the night, would be I would say a woman who doesn't know what they want fully out of me. I'm very intentional. So if I like a woman, like, I'll tell her straight up, like, hey, I like you. This is where I see things going. Even if I don't necessarily like her and it's just a whatever type of thing, I'm very upfront about it. So if you tell me you're not sure what you want out of me, then more than likely I'm going to look at it like, okay, maybe I need to entertain my actions elsewhere. So those are just a couple of my no-nos. But yeah, that's about it for the night. This video has been long going. This is probably the longest Teachable Tuesdays video that I've done on YouTube thus far. Don't worry, you're not going to have too many long videos. But if you've made it to this portion of the video, I greatly appreciate it. I mean, you are the real MVP. So again, make sure you leave a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so you can stay up to date with all of my Teachable Tuesdays content. And starting next week, we are going to be switching gears with new topics. So as always, make sure you stay tuned. Again, hit that notification button. Sometimes you may have to hit it like twice, like it'll take you out and then take you back in, because for some reason YouTube, the way they have the algorithm set up, is kind of messed up, so you might not always see all notification. And if you're not, subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe, because about 44% of people that are watching this video are not subscribed. And yeah, what are you doing? But anyways, much love. Again, if you're watching this on Instagram, feel free to share it in your stories and leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I love you guys very much. Thank you guys for your support as always. And again, this is Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays, going to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. I hope you have a great night, and I will see you next week.